Hello, everyone! Welcome, one and all, to episode 57 of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Tonight, we shall discuss. We actually have a lot on our plate. We got a lot of results. We got Vainglory. We got Smash. We got other stuff. We got big things shaking up in CSGO and Overwatch. We got the League of Legends World Competition. We got a lot. I'm joined by frozencreek. Say hello, Frozen.
Hey everyone. Actually, I will be gone next week because I will be at DreamHack in Denver. So if anyone is going to be there, post in the comments. Let me know. We can meet up or something because I'll be with some friends, but they're not that important. So I will be in DreamHack Denver. The week after, I will be at Fort Con in Fort Wayne, Indiana, also. So if anyone is there, hit me up also. In the comments, you can email us, tweet at us. I will hopefully hear about that or check it, and we can meet up.
I want you on this, Frozen. I want this live correspondence happening. I want live tweets. I want pictures. I want it all. You gotta hold it down for us.
Actually, I'll steal my camera from my girlfriend again this weekend, and then I will stream a little bit from DreamHack. The FortCon one's not as exciting, but I will stream a little bit from DreamHack at least, because that one will be pretty legit. Unfortunately, it's not like DreamHack Atlanta where there's a bunch of cool shit going on, but it'll still be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, it's in Denver, so yeah. If anyone's going, hit me up. We can meet over coffee or candy or something. It's up to you.
That sounds somewhat illegal. The candy part. Maybe you steer away from the candy. Don't take candy from strangers, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially in Colorado, where
it can be laced with all sorts of fun.
Certain things are legal there. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get started. I guess just as a preliminary warning, we may have someone else kind of pop in later. So if someone randomly comes in this episode and says hi and starts talking with us, don't be alarmed. This was somewhat planned. But all right, let's get into some other esports news. I'm gonna break down some of the smaller stuff first, Frozen. So Rocket League, they played. They had two matches, Renegades and NRG. Renegades easy 3-0. Cloud9 didn't even break a sweat. They with that win, they actually put us in the top 2 for the Rocket League playoffs, and it also secures a spot at the Rocket League World Championship, making our Rocket League roster way better than the U.S. men's soccer team. At least they can actually score goals.
I was just gonna say, I personally.
At least they can actually score goals.
Yeah, I was just going to say I prefer my American teams in the World Cup, but yeah, trigger warning. I guess it's a bit too late for those of us who spent the entire night refreshing their Twitter feed trying to see if anyone was fired.
I'm still waiting. I hope everyone is fired. Just build it from the ground up. Anyway, we can maybe talk about that later if there's time. But their second match was an exciting match that I actually regret not being able to watch, or maybe I chose not to watch. But so Cloud9 was down 0-2, right? NRG had it in the bag, but Cloud9, they dug deep, they dug hard, put a new set of tires on their car. They came out of the gates. Cloud9 pull off a stunning reverse sweep, beating NRG 3-2. Our Rocket League team is insane. If you do not watch them, I encourage you to, because they are probably one of the best, if not the best, Rocket League teams in North America right now. And that's all I have to say about that. But so Vainglory, actually a really disappointing weekend for Vainglory, a rare miss, if you will. So they participate in week 3 of the autumn Vainglory season. Split, whatever. Cloud9 played Hammers in the quarterfinals and won 2-0, but then that's where everything kind of fell off. They lost to TSM 0-2, and then had to go for the third place match against Nova, where they lost 1-2. So not good. Sometimes in the past they've had these kind of hiccups where they kind of have a losing week. I think it might be because I think the VG8 is played online, and it's not like on stage, like in the playoffs where everyone is kind of in the same place and there's less ping issues and whatnot. But I think the meta is also kind of changing. I've kind of noticed from how the team has been picking, how teams been picking and banning. So maybe they're still kind of learning. Hopefully they will get it together because I really want to see our VG team back on top like it is. So now moving on to do you want to?
Yeah, it's only been a week or two since they've been at their highest highs. So I'm hoping that this was more of a blip on the radar rather than the past couple weeks, because I do think that this team has showed a lot of potential in the past. And even as things change into the future, I think that they've proven that their highs are so much higher than their lows. And I'm just hoping that this is just a small blip on the radar, that in the future this team is actually going to be a notch above the other NA competition. So maybe it was just a bad weekend, but I'm hoping that they can recover and play up to what we've seen from them in the past.
Yeah, and I think that this is just a rare misfire. I think if all of this was on stage, if this was like on a LAN, I think they would clutch it. They look so much more in sync when they were played together in person. They don't have a gaming house like some other teams do. Like I think TSM maybe has a gaming house. So, they're just some small mistakes. I think that they can pick it up. I'm not sure if they have already secured themselves a spot for the World Championship for Vainglory. I will get back to everyone on that for next week, but hopefully they get a spot. I really want to see them compete internationally against other teams and see how strong Cloud9 Vainglory and how strong NA Vainglory really is compared to, other regions like China or Korea and so forth. So hopefully they'll pick it up. We believe in you guys. We're cheering behind you. So yeah. Moving on to Smash, a kind of disappointing weekend for Cloud9 Smash fans. Mango and Alloy were both at the Big House 2017 tournament, and the big W's did not come in. Ally finished 7th place, and Mango finished 5th place. It was, I wasn't able to watch. I can't really watch the Smash stuff just because the sets happen so quickly. So like, I'll find out about one, and it's just like, oh well, Mango's is already finished, and then I'll wait around for the next one, and then it goes back and forth in all these brackets. But I personally didn't get to watch it, but it sucks to learn that he did not at least finish top 3. I'm not.
All right. So do you want some hot takes?
Give me these hot takes. I want these hot takes.
I don't have a ton of hot takes, but I'm just gonna say that the Big House 2017 tournament rejected my press pass request, and I think it's because they were too nervous about the impending football game that happened on Saturday, where Michigan State drove down to Ann Arbor. It's about an hour drive, and curb stomped the shit out of their ass in Ann Arbor, which is University of Michigan's home. But actually, the Big House 2017 tournament took place in Detroit, and this is the one that Mango had his big comeback last year, I think against Leffen. That was actually one of the craziest things I've ever seen in any esport, and I never actually tune into Smash, so it definitely was disappointing to see Mango come away with a poorer performance than normal. But overall, I think it was an exciting tournament. I forgot the name of the guy, but the guy who came out and he beat Leffen, I think. Is that who it was? Or maybe it was Mewtwo King.
I know.
I don't know.
Armada lost, and I think
I didn't watch too much of it.
also lost, and I think those were the two like big upsets that everyone was surprised about.
Yeah, like there was one of the outsiders beat the fifth Smash God, or the fourth Smash God. Is that what it is? I
They're all
forgot.
better than me, so
But
it's whatever.
yeah, I'm not that fluent in Smash, but I know that there was someone who came from the outside to beat the fourth or fifth Smash God, which is exciting to see. But unfortunately, Mega wasn't able to take advantage of it. He played too much like the University of Michigan Wolverines throughout the weekend. So it is what it is. Hopefully, he can turn it up next time, because he is capable of performing to a better level and easily able to place in the top 5. And a top 3 is something that he should be aiming for at every tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, the next one he'll do better at. I think the good news is he has been consistently at least getting within the top 5 very recently. He's been, it shows that he's been really putting in the time to try to get better and to be more consistent. I think Tafo has definitely helped him kind of be more a little focused on, his play, and I think that he has definitely been improving. So I think Mango can certainly place a little bit higher in the next tournament. I think he just has to. We just have to believe. He just has to believe. He just has to, put in the time. And yeah.
I mean, I think in sports it's kind of like seeing Ohio State finish in the top 5, which is like where they I guess in the past couple years should finish. I think he deserves to be playing that high, and if he's not, I think he's underperforming in a way. Going into the future, I guess it's going to be hard to tell, but I think that his average level should be top 5, and that if he's playing well, he should be getting top 2, top 3, and even if he's playing bad, top 7 is probably the worst he's gonna go, just because he's so damn good.
Agreed. You can't beat the GOAT. Even when you do, the crowd's always gonna get his back. So tough luck for anyone who does beat him. But let's move on to CSGO. CSGO has actually had a lot happen. So let me breeze through these results real quick to get to the grand enchilada of wins that just happened. So Cloud9 CSGO played a lot over the past week. At ESL Pro League, they played against Rogue Gaming, and they beat them. They had like an overtime win of 19-15, and Game 2 was also pretty close, but they won 16-14. Against Luminosity, they went 1-1, which was kind of unfortunate because we've beaten them in the past, but at least to have a draw is good because it's kind of like everyone wins. But ECS Week 1, they played against Optic and won 2-0. Game 1 was 16-11 and Game 2 was 16-4. So another close win for the boys, but they got the 2-0. In Epicenter North America, close qualifiers, they played Liquid in the upper bracket finals, but they lost and had to move down to the lower bracket finals. They played against Optic again, and it was again a close call for Game 1. It was 16-12 and then 16-6. They then actually played them today a few hours ago. Not Optic, but they played Liquid a few hours ago, and they lost 0-2 again. But now I've gotten all of this out of the way. I'm going to take you to the big victory, and that is in the ELeague Playoffs, Frozen, in the quarterfinals. This is their first match in this tournament. They beat G2, probably what people would rank as the number 1 or at least number 2 team in the whole world of CSGO. They beat them 2-0, 16-12 on Cobble, which is G2's best map. They hardly ever lose on it. I can't remember the exact win rate or win-loss numbers, but they win a lot on it. So they beat them on Cobble, and then they took it to Inferno and beat them 16-8. And it feels good. It just feels so good.
Yeah, man. Like this was one of the first times that we've seen this newer Cloud9 renditions step up and put it all out on the big stage. I mean, their surrounding performances left a little bit to be desired, but seeing them step up for at least a series against G2 is a big deal going forward, and I think that gives them something to rally behind when they're playing in a big game again. Obviously, the matches against Liquid leave a lot to be desired, but knowing that they're able to perform as such a good level against a team like G2 should help them in the future, and I hope that they're able to figure out what happened against Team Liquid to help build a stronger base, so in the future they're able to pull off more games like they did against G2 and just turn into the team that I think all of us know that they can turn into.
Yeah, the win is definitely a big confidence boost for them. I think with their recent struggles, you look at their recent records, they've been winning a lot, but the wins have been very close. They have not been clean wins. A lot of they still have trouble on anti-echo rounds. They, sometimes don't position themselves well enough. Sometimes their strategy is a little bit, to be desired versus some of these other teams. But I think with this G2 win, it shows that the team is competitive and they can play at this competitive level. They are improving, which I think is something fans really need to see. And they can totally take it to these high-ranked teams. I think the question now is this G2 win going to be an outlier, or can they snowball it into more consistent play? Because if they can't snowball it into consistent play and they're still struggling to get a lot of these wins out, and they're still struggling to kind of find their footing as a team, I think that maybe more work still has to be done, but I think the G2 win definitely shows their potential and what they can do.
I mean, I think this team is still showing that there are a lot of growing pains, even now and even in the future. But seeing them pull together for a win against a team like G2 is promising. I'm hoping it's not like some random shit like Iowa State beating Oklahoma, and it's more like an up-and-coming team that is knocking someone off with some luck, and that they're able to build on this and some of their losses to make a consistent team. Because I do think the roster changes that we made a couple months ago have a lot of potential, and that they've been really performing pretty poorly in shortly after the roster change, and I think that this team can do better, and I'm hoping that this is the first step forward to doing that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it might be partially because they meant the casters mentioned that Cloud9 did they arrived in Atlanta like a few weeks ago, and they were just really aggressively boot camping, and I think this really helped because they were able to really get prepared for their competition and really ready up, and it's really hard for the team to do that since they're playing so many events back to back to back. So I think I personally think it's kind of messing with the team's development. There is fatigue. You're constantly having to switch from one opponent to the next, and you can't really, pump the brakes and practice for G2, kind of like what they were able to do a little bit. But hopefully the team does get better. I think I'm seeing a little bit more improvement. I think everyone's starting to figure out what their role is on the team. I think maybe I saw some people in Reddit comments say how they still haven't really found a good place for Stewie. Automatic is really stepping up as a really good fragger or whatever. Skadoodle is showing up once again, and he's in a better form, and Tarek is starting to really take reins of the IGL position, and Rush is kind of a supportive player. So I think once everyone really starts to fit in these roles and everyone starts to they're starting to gel together, but I'd really like to see a lot more cohesion. And if we can get that, I think Cloud9 can get a lot more wins and a lot of really good important wins.
Oh yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think we should move on to our next topic.
Overwatch, my favorite. So
our pseudo Cloud9
yes.
team.
So we actually had a lot of Overwatch news. If you pay attention to that, it doesn't get as much coverage as like League of Legends or CSGO, and I feel kind of bad because the organization's putting a lot of like investment into this game, and I'd really just like to have more, fan stuff, to reciprocate. But anyway, Overwatch contenders, Cloud9 played in the playoffs, and they were up against Misfits, who, is an Overwatch League team. They were favored to win. Everyone counted Cloud9 out, but they did lose, but it was 2-3 Frozen. And if you watch that series, you could really see the team really trying, and they looked really good. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Had to cough. But yeah, so they lost, but they looked really good, and they were really trying, and they really took it to Misfits. And I think if they maybe played the last map just a little bit better, I think they definitely actually would have won an upset. For what Cloud9's future in Contenders holds, it's a little uncertain. I think we are going to be in Season 2, but I'm not sure if we're going to have this roster. But I'm sad about the loss, but I'm glad that they at least took it to 5 games and showed that, the team could still be competitive and could still take it to a really hard opponent. But
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or just one quick thing. I remember playing Misfits. I think it was the first week of Overwatch Contenders and getting the shit.
Oh yeah, they fucking crushed us.
Yeah, so I'm glad to see that there was a lot of growth. Now, do I think that there's enough growth going into Season 2? I guess I don't know. I wasn't able to watch enough of their games, but it's good to see that they developed enough to at least give Misfits a fight.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of getting absolutely crushed, Cloud9 Kongdoo, my favorite group of Koreans, and no one else's apparently. They faced off against GC Busan in the Apex Season 4 Semifinals. GC Busan, before they played us, they played against Lunatic High, who is, I believe it's Seoul's Overwatch League spot, and they beat Lunatic High in a pretty big upset, and everyone was talking about, GC Busan, they might, they actually look pretty good. Good indeed, because they beat us 4-0 in a best of 7. And I gotta say, I didn't know what happened. I thought C9 Kongdoo had this. I thought it was in the bag, and then they completely ran a train on him. They ran a train to Busan on him. Get that reference in.
I mean, I don't know if they were the zombies, because it just seemed like we were just dead all of the time. I was only able to watch Game 3 and Game 4 because of my wake-up time for work. But I woke up, I put it on, I got out of bed, I went to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and it was over. Game 3 was that they beat the shit out of us in Game 3.
It was not pretty.
Game 4 we put up. No. Who was the Tracer
Prophet
again?
ran a complete train on us. He would just get into the back line,
dude,
and he would just kill everyone, and we could not handle him at all. And I think another problem was that Fisher and Void were having struggles as being the front line. Like, Fisher would just kind of jump in, but no one else would be prepared for it. So he would go in, and then he would die. So it would be down one less tank, and then, Prophet's zipping around the back line and killing everyone else. So just not, I think, part of me says that they just didn't prepare enough, because, they're already in the Overwatch League. They don't need to really try as much, right? And GC Busan, some upstart challenger team. We're Kongdoo. We can beat them. So I think they maybe kind of slept on their opponent a little bit. You know, at least that's what I'm telling myself, so I don't feel bad. But yeah, this was a heartbreaker.
I mean, I think you can make countless excuses for it at some point, but at the end of the day, it's not like we overestimated them or something, because they just came and cleaned our clock. Like it wasn't even like a 4-0 was a bad interpretation of how the match played out. They actually just beat the shit out of us. Like, it wasn't even close. So I don't know if excuses are even fair at this point.
Yeah.
Just because of how
I
bad it
think the
was.
team just has to accept that they got the shit kicked out of them, and I think their third place matches, I think on the 15th. Hold on, let me check this real quick. Do 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 do. All right, well I can't find it, but I don't want to take too long. But it's some time in the future. But hopefully they will at least show up for their final Apex match. And I think they need to take this loss to heart and then be ready for in December when they play that preseason Overwatch League tournament. Because that will determine, I think, who are the big players and who are the small fish in Overwatch League. So I think they have to come out swinging and really show that they're still top dog.
Yeah, I think that's something we'll talk about once like coming up. I have opinions about how I think this team is going to do in Overwatch League, but let's finish up the Overwatch news and jump into League.
I was about to.
Is quite substantial.
Yes. So the final news, and some partially good news. All of the NA players have been released from their contracts. So players like Adam Rolf and Gods have made looking for team tweets. Interesting though, players like Surefour have remained silent on the fact that their contracts have been released. So perhaps they have found teams. We'll have to see. I know there are rumors that Mendo, one of everyone's favorite Cloud9 players, he has gotten a spot on Optic's roster. So hopefully at least some of our NA players can find Overwatch League teams and we can see them later on.
I mean, I'm most sad about Surefour. I think he was the player that I first kind of fell in love with, and then we just ditched him. So
I mean, he was always like, I think he was
go.
always like the best on our North American, on our NA roster. Whenever we would make changes to it, he was always the consistent best one that everyone tried to rally around. And
yeah, and it's gonna suck seeing Surefour on a different team just because he always showed up and he always played well and put in a shift on Tracer, and it was so much fun to watch him. And kind of sucks how he has to go. I wish there was a Detroit team so I could hope that he would go there, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. I'm as sort of a final Overwatch note, I'm actually really looking forward to Overwatch League. I'm really wanting to get into Overwatch myself. It seems like a really fun game, and I just want this to do well because, you know, again, the organization's put so much money into this that I want it to just pay off and be a good, successful thing. So all happy, good, fuzzy feelings. But anyway, let's move on to League of Legends. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd have our guest by now, but he'll jump in eventually, hopefully.
Yeah, so the first week of groups for the Worlds 2017 tournament finished, and I have to say I'm actually pleased and a bit surprised with the results. So SKT sits atop the group at 3-0, not surprised. Cloud9 is 2-1, which is great. AHQ is 1-2, and EDG, someone performed the Heimlich on this org because they are choking on stage, and it is both hilarious and painful to watch.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened. I had a lot more faith in them than they've shown, for sure. I mean, technically they're not dead yet, but no team has ever made it out of groups after going 0-3 in the first week. So I can't imagine they're gonna come back. Though I think if any team's going to do it, it's gonna be a team on their home soil. But I think it's too late now. If C9 gets a win against AHQ, they are.
I think they're. I'm not sure if they're
most
automatically
likely
in, but
they're not automatically in.
but they have a better shot.
Because HQ technically could beat SKT and EDG and go 3-3, or no, because we'd win that on
Oh yeah, wouldn't it be like a head-to-head thing?
on record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if EDG were to win out, and we were to just beat HQ, we would go into a tiebreaker. So there's still a chance that we don't make it, but we are in a very good position to make it through to knockout stages.
Yeah. What did you think of Cloud9's play over the weekend? I thought it was very very well done. They did lose to SKT, but I immediately wrote that loss off. You know, it's SKT. They had fumbles, but like if you give SKT anything, they will exploit it so much, and you have to play like beyond perfect. So everyone was a bit upset, but I thought that was a little too silly. You know, this is the team that has won multiple world championships. I don't think losing to them, no matter how good or how bad, it's whatever. I think that Cloud9 should just focus on AHQ and EDG, which I think that's what they've done, because the AHQ and EDG wins look really good.
Let's start with SKT, I guess. For me, I wish that we would have picked our draft a little bit different, like maybe put contracts on Gragas and impact on Nar. I think that would have given us a better chance to hold our laning phases a little bit better, just because of once the game started to crumble, we didn't have any opportunity to turn it back around, just because their team scaled in every position just as well or better than we did, and once they got that lead, there was no chance that we were going to come back. For me, the positive is that I think what Cloud9 is actually going for, trying to pick a quote unquote a meta comp against SKT, is to learn from it and see how SKT exploits the mistakes that Cloud9 makes, and to learn from what SKT does when the game is on the line, and how they transition these small mistakes into a lead that is insurmountable by the end of the game. And I think that there were some good things that we saw the Cloud9 team do, but looking into the future, if we do make it out of the groups, it's not, unless we get a good draw, it's not going to be good enough, seeing how they played against SKT. Now, I think if you were to put it in a best of 7 or sorry, a best of 5, we would be able to pick a game off, but I don't think that we showed enough promise to be able to win a best of 5 against a top Korean team. But I do think that we've shown the ability to beat any other team almost.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Also, that was the first day of week 1, so I think everyone was still kind of feeling out each other. You know, everyone was kind of getting ready to be competitive. I think looking at the other matches, I think Cloud9 showed that they're still probably one of the best North American teams, competitively in an international sense, because you looked at AHQ and they had I really like their draft. They got Nautilus, Xayah, and Janna, Ryze, and Ezreal. So you had someone that could dive the backline, you had someone that could protect the carries, and you had someone that could kind of go in between the front and the back line with Ezreal. and Rise and Zaya. So they had this really great comp that could kind of hit AHQ where it hurts, and I think they also displayed some really good, macro moves and everything. I think in general, Contracts being on the carry junglers has worked really well because we're able to be a little bit more aggressive and put more pressure onto the enemy. We saw that again with EDG as Contracts played Graves. Sort of a surprise pick because we haven't seen Graves in a while, but I think he played that really well, barring a couple of silly jungle invades. But I think EDG, we were in control of that game the whole time, and EDG just was twisting in the wind as we blew him down.
Yeah, I think that the games against HQ and EDG showed a lot of promise. HQ specifically, I think that HQ is actually not a very good team based on how they performed against us. Just how many times they were caught up by the Rise ult.
Yeah, Jensen did those Rise ults really well. He like how he used them was really creative because sometimes he wouldn't take them or he would just send one person and then he would like do these like pincer maneuvers where he would like corral. There was that one play, I think it was like Lulu and AHQ's AD carry. I forgot who they were playing with, but he sent the Realm Warp, but he didn't take it because it corralled them into an area where he would kind of pincer them, and then they got those 2 kills. So his uses of the Rise ultimates were very creative, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, and I think part of that had to do with how AHQ disrespected the Rise ults too. And I think that's why they picked it into SKT, and you can definitely tell the difference between how SKT played around the Rise ult and how HQ did. But at the end of the day, Cloud9 can only perform against who they play, and I think that they played very well against HQ. There were some minor mistakes that we did see. The main one for me was Contracts overcommitting to putting pressure onto the jungle without the proper support from his team. But overall, I think Contracts is perhaps our MVP so far of the tournament. Even the mistakes he makes, it's good to see him committing so hard to making a play, and it's something that you don't see from a lot of teams around the world, which is why they crumble under pressure. So to see him so fearless and committing to making a play is really cool to see, considering he's what, 18?
I believe so.
And he's playing with like Sneaky and Impact, who are as old as I am almost, and I'm 25. So to see him playing so well is insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think even though he did make some mistakes in the jungle, it's really nice because I think a lot of players, especially rookies, would mess up once and go, okay, I'm never gonna do this again, and then they get scared and they play scared. Contracts doesn't do this. He will play aggressively as he can for as long as possible, and I think it really helps the team because it's constantly putting. I think next we should probably talk about what's going to happen for week 2 because the schedule gets crazy. So, and I believe they did this last year. So now the teams are going to compete all of the rest of their matches in one day. Cloud9 has one back-to-back. I can't remember who it is. I think it's SKT and EDG. I think, but yeah, they also play on the last day. So I think this can be good and bad for the team because they have a lot of time to prepare for their matches, but I think, all the other teams can prepare for their matches. So it all comes down to the quality of their prep and how fatigued they get doing this all in one go. So I guess do you think that Cloud9 will be able to prepare themselves enough to beat EDG and AHQ for a second time?
I mean, I think it comes down to a lot of different things, and I know EDG is going to be desperate to pick 2 wins up this week. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pick up 3 full wins, because that's going to involve beating SKT. Granted, they did pull SKT pretty hard into the late game, but they just weren't able to close it out. I think that we're going to be prepared with some new picks coming into the week. And one of the really cool things that Cloud9 has been able to do that this year specifically has been able to play a couple of different styles. Like we saw the Snowball as real jungle game. We've seen him play a variation of that with Graves, and we've also seen him pull out the Rek'Sai with a little less success. But I think that this week we are going to pull out a Gragas game perhaps, along with his usual picks, and it's nice to see that they're not so dependent on one strategy, which is something that they've done in the past. And I think that this team has evolved to a point where they are a little more unpredictable than they have been going into the second week of Worlds. But saying that the NA curse in the second week is real, and I'm curious to see that, or I'm curious to see if this is the year that they're able to overcome it. And I personally think that they're going to. I think that we're going to finish the group at 4-2, and move on to the round of 16.
Yeah, I think that Cloud9's big keys to victory are probably to play around contracts, because he has shown that he is a great mid-jungle duo with Jensen. He has been such a big facilitator in just the team's playmaking in general. You know, the pressure, the aggression, just the team fighting presence. He has shown he's come up so big in this Worlds tournament. I think him going to Worlds was the best thing to have to him, because he looks so much more practiced just by being able to like boot camp with other Korean players and other players from around the world. I think he looks like twice as good as he did coming into this summer season. So I think just play around contracts, play around Jensen, make smart drafting choices, don't put yourself in a corner when you don't have to, and I think you can beat everybody but SKT, and I think they can totally get out. Fun fact, Trey, who is sadly not here, predicts that all 3 NA teams will make it to the bracket stage. Do you agree with that, Frozen?
I don't think that it's that much of a hot take at this point. I think the NA has performed well enough, and they are in easy enough groups besides Cloud9 to that they should be expected to make it out of groups, and that if anyone weren't, I think Cloud9 would be the favorite going into week 1 not to make it. So seeing that they're in the driver's seat is good news, because I think that they've been performing just as good as the other NA teams, and it helps that EDG hasn't shown up. Looking at Immortals, I think that they are definitely going to be able to make it out of their group. They had a little luck with their draw. They had the second group of life, which I think has turned out to be the group of life.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic has just been playing like hot garbage ever since the tournament. I guess ever since the actual group stage started, and it's been kind of surprising actually.
I mean, I can't say I'm too surprised after seeing how they performed at Rift Rivals and in playoffs, and I don't know if I had them last, but I know I did not have them coming out of groups. I'm pretty sure I had them.
I had them third,
Immortals
with Immortals going in second seed.
Yeah, I think that's what I had too. I guess I can't be too surprised about them so far in fourth. I don't think that they're gonna end up in fourth, but I guess we'll see. TSM, I think the group has played out kind of weird. It's not quite what I expected.
Is awkward.
Yeah, but WE is 100% gonna make it out. if the second week NA curse is real, it's going to be Misfits, I think. And I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that Misfits is going to make it out. If I were to put a percentage on it, I would say it would be 70% TSM and 30% Misfits coming out. Now, I think if Misfits comes out, they're automatically the second seed. But if TSM is coming out, they have probably a 40% chance of being the first seed and 60% chance of being the second seed. And WE has the flip if TSM is making it out.
Yeah, Trey also said that all three North American teams would go in the second seed. I think TSM can maybe pull up the first seed. I think it's going to be tough considering their competition. I think Misfits doing well was kind of unexpected. I think Flash Wolves going 0-3 was also a bit unexpected, but then again, everyone has been saying that the LMS is probably at its weakest point. I think WE can certainly make it difficult. Frostgaren's been saying that WE is China's most consistent team, with I guess RNG being the most likely to win now. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I really like how all these groups have played out, because it's not just like a stomp fest one way, and it's like, oh, this team's not going to make it. I think every team coming in this week 2 is going to have a pretty good chance. Are there any matchups in particular that you're really excited to see? I guess there's one final point before we close out the show.
I'm just excited to see how RNG plays out in that group. I personally had them as first in that group, so I think that how they performed in the first week has shown how good they are, but I think that has also shown how dynamic they are. They didn't stick to just one playstyle, and their win over Samsung was legit, and I do think that the third seed coming out of Korea was going to be their weakest seed by a decent amount, and that you could maybe make an argument that they're not the third best team in the world, or at Worlds, just because I think the curve from second to third best team in the world is decently large, and Samsung just showed up in the gauntlet in Korea, and that through the regular season they weren't as impressive as we would have expected them to be. So I think RNG is going to come out of this group in first, and it's going to be interesting to watch them play against Samsung in their head to head.
All right. Cool. I am excited to watch Cloud9 versus EDG round 2. I think the shame that EDG has brought upon themselves and Cloud9's success in week 1 will definitely come to a head. I think it's going to come down to who has prepared better, who is more stable in the mental game, and who can definitely win the draft. I'm also excited to see how TSM versus WE holds up. I really want to see how this three-way tie finishes, and I'm really excited for that. So that should also be a good day of games.
Yeah, maybe they'll trade wins and end up all at 4-2, and Flash Wolves ends up at 0-6. But also, Goofy Gulman, sorry if I mispronounced that, said in the comments of the Twitch that he's most excited for the clapping part 3, and that third time is the Charm versus Faker. So maybe it will be. Maybe they did learn from their mistakes the past 2 times they've played them, and maybe we'll get lucky. I think that since we've always tried to go mano against them, that they've been able to just clock us. And I think that if we twist up our playstyle a little bit, and instead of going head to head against them, we try and throw a wrench into it and try and pick a little bit of a snowball, that we might be able to come out ahead against them. But I don't think we can take them head on in scaling comps like we've been trying.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think how the team has been playing, how confidently they've been playing. I think they have a small chance, but I'm not gonna hold my breath if they do lose. I'm coming into that matchup just expecting Cloud9 to lose because I think that it's just really hard considering world champion versus NA third seed. Though NA has certainly looked like probably the second strongest region at Worlds, at least for this year. But it's just really tough. I don't know what to expect. I think when you just look at SKT, I think you always kind of expect them to win. So yeah, it's definitely difficult to look at, but it should be a fun match.
Yeah, but you know who was a 31-point favorite and still lost on their home turf?
Was it the Atlanta Falcons?
Oklahoma.
Oh,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Right.
Boomer Sooner. Yeah, to Iowa State. So if Oklahoma can drop the ball so hard, maybe SKT can in a best of one. And I don't think it wins us the group, but it puts us in a position to win the group. So I wouldn't predict it, but I'm hoping to God that it happens.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, this week should be really, really good, really fun. That being said, if you are living on American soil, probably you won't be able to catch a lot, if any, of the games. But I'm definitely gonna try to watch the rebroadcasts because this week's gonna be really fun. But okay, so final thing, Frozen. I guess what is your prediction for our final group? What is your prediction for our group standings?
Yeah, going back to your time thing, it's a lot like season 5. I hope that the results aren't the same as season 5 when we went 0-4 in groups and got the shit kicked out of us. But I think that we are gonna end the group at 4-2, and we will make it off cleanly without playing a tiebreaker.
All right.
I think that's the safe and fair prediction, I guess.
I think I'll predict something similar. I say 4-2, maybe 4-3, but we still get out. I think we may drop an extra game just because of the format, because they have to do back-to-backs. And, you know, if you, like, lose to someone like SKT or something in your first match, you may feel a bit demoralized. You know, you may feel a little shaken, and then it's like, oh, well, now we have to play this other team that plays completely different, and then you have to quickly shift gears mentally to this new opponent, and I think that might mess us up a bit. So we may drop an extra game, but I still think that we will be able to get out just because of how the rest of the group is looking.
Yeah, we play SKT second, correct?
Hold on, let me look at the schedule real quick.
All right. While you look that up, Goofy has us winning the group at 5-1, and SKT dropping 2 games this week and going 4-2 and finishing second in the group.
Okay. All right. So the schedule is.
So we get some hype in the crowd.
Yes. So so as far as match order, we play.
Say the game times too.
Okay. Yeah.
Game times. You are in Central Time.
Yes, I'm in Central Time, so I'm gonna do this off of Central Time just to make it easier. Everyone will have to convert to their own time zone, but
I'll convert to Eastern Standard Time as you speak.
Okay, great. So actually, I'll just convert to Eastern. So the first game, Cloud9 actually plays against EDG, which I think is great. Get that big win out of the way. They play them at 1 a.m. if you are an early riser or can't sleep. Then they play against SKT at 3 a.m. And then immediately after that, they play against AHQ at 4 a.m. So if you can catch those games, great. If you can't, just watch the rebroadcast. Hopefully Cloud9 wins. I think the EDG game is going to be the most important. If they can beat EDG again, I think it pretty much seals us and locks us in, because I think we can definitely beat AHQ. And if we lose to SKT, like I said, no big deal. So
yeah,
so definitely, I think in terms of scheduling, I think we kind of have it easy, or I guess somewhat easy, since we do have to do a back-to-back.
Actually, I think that this is the worst possible schedule. I don't want EDG first coming off an 0-3 week against the home crowd. I'd rather them lose to SKT first than come up against us.
Yeah, true.
And us play HQ first. So I'm gonna say that we got not the shortest end of the stick, but we got the medium end of the stick with scheduling.
A regular sized stick.
Yeah, we got just a regular popsicle stick in this one. But yeah, the times really suck. Personally, I'm going to turn off the notifications on my phone when I go to bed because I'm going to be coming back from a wedding. I'm not sure if there's an open bar yet or not, so if there is, I might not watch any of the game, but I will be sure to watch those when I wake up on Sunday morning because I am hype as fuck because I think that this group is a lot like our group last year, but I think that we're a better team, so I think that we should cleanly make it out, unlike last year, which was a little bit sketch.
Yeah. But, yeah, hopefully they'll do well. I am pulling for them. We are all pulling for them. So, yeah, I think that'll do us for today. So, thank you for listening to the 57th episode of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to us at C9 Bodied. I myself check Twitter pretty often. I try to interact with people as much as I can on Twitter. If you want to know an opinion from myself or someone, anything like that, just hit us up. Good times will be had. You can also email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. We'll try to answer your questions on the next podcast like we did just now through Twitch chat. Also, thanks to Ian for being our audio person. We always enjoy his crisp, clean edits. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. The people who came to hang out in the comments, especially Goofy for participating and giving us something else to talk about in the episode. We record our episodes, unless we announce differently, Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I try to update the Twitter when I can. I'm going to do a little bit better job in the future doing Twitter just because my job requires me to be on Twitter. So I will keep working on that, and hopefully you guys can keep coming to watch. I tweet out the link that we stream from, and I know that Trey mostly automatically hosts me, but yeah, if you are looking to follow the stream a little bit better, you can look up frozencreek 69 on Twitch. I believe that's what it is. Yeah, frozencreek 69, all one word, and then you can follow all of our recordings live before you get the final version on YouTube or iTunes, or Apple Podcasts on Friday.
Yeah. So check all that out, and you're all good. So I guess that's it. So say goodbye, Frozen.
Yeah, bye. I appreciate it. Go green. And hopefully some of you guys are at DreamHack. Bye.